I'm going to ask Michael, our worship leader and sound guy, and now just starting video editing, come and take a few minutes, take your time, Michael, and share with us a little bit about your story. Thank you. Can you fix this?
Hi, everybody. Blessies. Where do I start? I came from quite a dysfunctional family. Wasn't very good at all. In saying that, all parties involved that I'm sharing about got dramatically transformed by the power of God over a period of time. But when I was growing up, age of 3, I was running away from home. Ran away from home twice. Had 2 towns looking after me, looking for me. Age of 5, I was sniffing petrol and drinking alcohol. Progressed from there, it was just totally dysfunctional, alcoholic-fueled family. Our house was known as the party house. It was not a good environment. It caused me to grow up, become angry, antisocial, a death wish. I did not want to be here. A lot of violence in all forms, and all different types of abuse, not just to me, but my 5 siblings. So it wasn't good at all. Sexual abuse, physical abuse. And so by the time I got into my teenage years, I was totally rebellious, totally angry, did not like anybody, did not like myself. Got into all different types of drugs, drug addiction, got into the wrong crowd, organised crime. I was kind of an organiser of doing certain things for different people and different organisations, and the criminal element wasn't healthy at all. So my circle of influence was not good. Standover man, debt collections. If you owed a debt, I got it back, and in any form, or any way possible, robberies and things like that. So, by the age of 15, I made a career out of it, and I was pretty good at what I'd done. And then within that same year, my sister and brother-in-law came to the Lord and started talking to me about Jesus. I thought they were crazy. I was laughing at them, and it would have been about 3 months later, I found myself being stabbed with a 24-centimetre kitchen knife in the main street of Bondi. And I was stabbed in my back. I had it just missed my liver. It was 48 stitches I had in my back. I had 24 stitches in my left arm, and another 18 stitches on my leg, upper leg. The last thing I remember seeing when I got stabbed that day, I was actually bodyguarding 2 brothers that were total drunkards, and we were on this kind of like a pub crawl, and we were going to get some drugs. Next minute, I'm stabbed in the middle of Bondi, and the last thing I looked at was my arm, and could see all the internal parts of my arm. And I just said to my brother, call an ambulance. I've dropped to the floor. And the next thing I see is myself in the back of the ambulance, and I'm looking at my body in the back of the ambulance. And I realized that what I was looking at wasn't the full part of me. I realized I was a human being having a spiritual experience. Sorry. the other way around. I was a spiritual being having a human experience, not a human being having a spiritual one. And then what happened from there is I heard this guy put me in the back of the ambulance, the guy at the end, and there was one guy in the front. I remember saying, he's not going to make it. And I looked at him with my attitude I had in those days, which was total anger and fire. And I rejected everything he said. I actually swore at him. So, and then the next minute I'm floating out of the ambulance and I'm looking at Bondi Beach and it disappeared and I'm gone into the clouds. Next minute, I'm in a place that's darker than darkness. And, but I knew I was there. I knew I had form. I didn't know if the darkness was darker than me or I was darker than the darkness, but I knew I was there. And then all I remembered was looking up and it rained light. And I could hear these voices that were like harmonies. But there was one voice that stood out throughout all the voices that I just didn't hear it with these ears. It went completely through me. And it was something that drew me towards this voice. The peace I felt, I've never felt a peace like it. And the closer I walked towards this voice, the stronger it became. And the next minute I'm getting thrusted back. And I really liked going towards this voice because it felt like home. Next thing I get pulled back and I woke up in the hospital. And my dad was next to me. And I just grabbed my dad's hand and just clenched it and then was knocked out for the next 4 days. So, yeah, that was the beginning of a transformation. One of the things that remained in me was what my sister and brother-in-law shared about the gospel. It kind of became more real at that moment. It kind of became quite evident. And so there were things that started to change and transform in me. The grass was much greener. The smell of flowers was much sweeter. I wasn't so of an angry person. I started to share with my sister and brother-in-law after I got out of the hospital and went through this process of rehabilitation. And they didn't lead me through the Lord's Prayer. They just said, you pray, and it's by faith you receive salvation. And so I went into my room, and from that moment on, things started to change. Started regularly going to church, and there was so much more to do in this broken vessel that I was. And but for the grace of God, He knew me before I was formed, and it was quite powerful. There was I had a death wish before 21, and things just totally changed and transformed. He started to teach me about His ways. His word became something of such a powerful significance to me. The only place I found my worth was in Him. Everything else I tried before led me the road I went down. Not just God started to restore me. He started to restore the broken relationships within our family. Within a 5-year period, my whole family came to the Lord. My mum and dad were transformed. The Lord taught me how to love them. And He showed me His love, not just through His word, but in practical applications. When I started to read His word, I had to ask the Holy Spirit to help me because I couldn't even read properly. And God restored my thinking. He restored everything. He taught me how to love my Father. He taught me how to even say the word, I love you, within a 6-month period. I used to come home after church and I used to sneak past the lounge room where Dad was because it's like, I was getting touched by the power of God, but I'd come home and I'd feel really nervous because of the tension of how Dad was as a person. He was so had a hard upbringing. But within 6 months, the Lord taught me to love him where he's at. And I remember walking past the lounge room one night after coming back from church, and I said, I looked at my dad, I said, "Good night, Dad." And then I looked at him and I said, "Love you." His smoke dropped out of his hand. It's like he nearly fell out of the chair. But there was this release, and over that period of time, in the next couple of years, God totally transformed my relationship with my father. And it was so profound. And my dysfunctional brothers and sisters, they all came to the Lord.